ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Wednesday, November the 5th, 2025. This show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube. Please subscribe before you leave today's show. On today's awesome episode, the first topic we're going to get into is Albany relocating to Oshawa in what felt like the middle of the night. It was not a fun feeling. I will talk about what I heard behind the scenes and just what's next for the team. Our second topic will be my top 5 NLL players / runners. They're not goalies, and I have a little surprise for you in that one as well. And finally, did the luxury tax create parity? I'll get to why a tweet from OtCapLax fired me up and got me thinking about what could have been going on in Buffalo and how in the world is Vancouver pulling any of this off. We want to first let you know this show is presented by the Event Tickets tab at the North American Talk Radio website. Head to natalkradio.com and click the Event Tickets tab today. And be sure to search for your favorite National Lacrosse League team. Now, I do want to say, full disclosure, I am not wearing a dress shirt and tie. You're probably wondering why. Because I feel like I should either wear some merchandise, this is a Philadelphia Wings shirt, or I should wear a Daily Dive merch, or I should wear a shirt and tie. So we're going to switch it up. You won't see me like in the plain black shirts anymore, or just the plain shirts, but I do like to switch it up sometimes, and I felt like the first 2 days had dress shirt and tie. Let's switch it up a little bit, but there's more where that came from. In case you're wondering, you're probably not. All right, let's get into this. In what seemed like the middle of the night, the Albany FireWolves just left town. They relocated to Oshawa, Ontario, and as our good friend Tim Dillon said on Monday, that's hard to say. Oshawa is a hard thing to say, and that's not the reason why this is a bad look, in my opinion. There's a couple of things that go into this. Number one, this came literally a month after we got this big sigh of relief in the NLL that, okay, good. You know, Rochester got sold to Seneca Nation. All is well in the NLL. We knew Philadelphia was looming. We had heard other teams may have been on the ropes. And then, bam, we are relocating to Oshawa. Huh? Now, maybe I was fooled by the social media department for Albany, which I thought was doing a pretty good job. But I was an upset person, I would have to say. I think that me thinking that, me feeling like, okay, you know, I'm happy that that Rochester stayed. Maybe that blinded me from what was actually going on. Side note, this is going to look a lot better for future reference. I'll just keep it like that, whatever. So, it actually doesn't. That was dumb. I'm doing this on air. It looks dumb. Anyways, I felt like after having the big sigh of relief, maybe I got too comfortable with where the league is / was. It is not in a very strong spot right now. And I will be the first to say that, and I do the only live talk show about lacrosse focused on the NLL. And I do not like saying the league is not in the strongest spot. What makes Albany to Oshawa even more frustrating was the fact that they gained on average attendance per game 1,200 fans. That's an increase. Now, to be fair, Albany That attendance number last year, I know it gained 1,200. That got them to a grand average of 5,013. That's horrible. I completely see the vision there. I get it. I get 3,800 was really dormant. 5,000 was also not good. But the growth was there. And I'll predict it now. And I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but one thing this league deserves more of is honesty. And I will never go on the show and pretend that things are great when they're not. I challenge the owners for Oshawa to average more than 5,013 fans this year. I have a strong feeling they will not. I think it'll be about the 5,000, maybe 5,500 if we're lucky / fortunate. But for comparison, remember the big Ottawa Black Bears move? Folks, they averaged 5,400. And are you going to try to sell me the snake oil that Oshawa is going to average more than 5,400? If there was a cool bet Canada odds right now, this will not happen. Even if I got on my knees and asked Pat Gregor, this would not happen. I'm telling you right now, folks, this team will not average 5,400, which means relocating is nothing but a financial burden at this point. And based on what I've heard, it does not end here. And that's just sickening. So you're going to, can you imagine if you stayed in, if you're the FireWolves, if they stayed in Albany, can you imagine if they had kept on growing? And again, 5,013, let me be abundantly clear, is average at best. It's not good. It's not sustainable. But you are not going to be able to sell me anything that will convince me that they're going to have more this year. And to me, when you make a move like that and you stay dormant, and I think they might have less fans average this year, that's a horrible business decision. Again, if you talk to anybody behind the scenes, they don't think this team lasts anyways. I don't like it. I thought that the fans deserved better. I know that the team relocated before they refunded a bunch of tickets, and I don't even know if everyone's been refunded yet. I hope they have. It's just a bad look. And so I'll do this number now too, because I really don't care. Brett Thru, I'm at the point now where how do I word this without never having anyone want to come on my show again? Commissioner Brett Thru, to me, he's not on the hot seat. It might be getting warm. And that, again, this is nowhere near me trying to be an insider. I'm telling you from afar, I'm going to predict the hot seat is starting to get at least 5% there. I want this to work so badly. I don't think you can afford switching commissioners. But, and I'm not saying that Brett Thru is to blame for Albany to Oshawa, but do I think he has a say in it? I do. I think that this league is making some bad business decisions. And I think taking the cost of moving to Oshawa is a bad business decision. I think NLL Plus is a horrible thing to invest in the money they're investing. I think the mirage of I want NLL Unbox to work. But there has been nothing about that besides a couple of social media things. We have seen no fruits of that labor. We have seen barely any social media content from the NLL. We have seen stupid thing after stupid thing tease after tease, and you want me to believe that the commissioner has nothing to do with any of this? It's not true. So I'll call out Brentford on this show because I'm tired of the fluff. I'm tired of the tease. If this man teases me, if this league teases me again, I feel like we should be a strip club at this point. It's stupid. I've told you guys many times I want the product to succeed. But when Albany to Oshawa, am I supposed to put faith in that? That press conference was horrible. The introductory thing was a bunch of snooze fest. And as a fan, as a person who dabbles in the inside stuff, it's very alarming. Folks, I don't say these things to try to give hot takes or try to be first. I don't care. I'm telling you what it looks like. I'm telling you what other people think that don't want to say it out loud. Albany to Oshawa is just a bad move. And if they stay there for 5+ years, that would be fantastic. I also don't buy it at all. They're not staying there. And it's a shame. It really is a crying shame. Part of me also is frustrated at the United States cities just being absolutely shafted. The league seems to not care about the United States markets. It feels that way. There's a group of fans like me who think that way. And if you think for 1 second that Georgia going to Edmonton is not strategized to get them up there, you're also ignorant. I don't know what has to go through the decision makers, including Brett Fruit's head, to get them to understand how dumb it looks to keep on moving teams up north as if Canada needs any more dang teams. It's stupid. And I'm tired of it. This model, this constant moving garbage, is not working. And we invest in stupid things like NLL Plus. We move Albany to Oshawa as if it even is going to make a difference. Like, what are they doing? There are people paid boatloads of dollars to make decisions like this that make absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. Oshawa's not going to last. And I hate it for Albany because, again, I'll say this. If they grew 1,200 on average last year, can you imagine the hype they could have had if they just tried for one more year? And I get it. Sometimes you don't want to. Well, good for you. Fold your team at that point. If you don't want to put in the work, why do I think you'll put in the work up north? You won't. You're not getting any NHL support from Oshawa. What the heck are we doing? Again, the Ottawa Black Bears, that was a major move according to a lot of people. 5,400 fans, that's a joke. That is a joke. Again, we can keep on acting like moving them up north is going to be the greatest thing. I think it's not sustainable. I'm fine with a bunch of Canadian teams. I'm not fine with the decisions being made. So good for them. You know how many times in 2023 I heard respectfully, you know how many times in 2023 I heard about fans packing the barn and turning on the game and laughing as if it was a lie? I hope it's true. But again, I don't think I think they'll average less than Ottawa. And at that point, you should have stayed in Albany. Because I think Albany could have touched 6,000 or more this year, the rate they were going. But yeah, Oshawa. Woo! So that's snake oil. It's just snake oil. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I just think it sounds better when I say it. All right, we come back. I'm gonna have a lighthearted segment. I'm gonna do a top 5 players, and screw it, I did top 10. We're gonna do top 10 NL players that are not goalies When we come back to Daily Dive, don't go anywhere.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. You know, that was a fun first segment. And again, I fire myself up sometimes, but it's frustrating as a fan knowing, and I'll tell a story, then I'll move on here. As a fan in Georgia who hears about growing the game mumbo jumbo garbage, and then, folks, the Georgia Swarm have been here for 10 years. I, as a diehard sports fan, did not know they existed until 2022. I wore a Georgia Swarm shirt. A guy I talked to that lives here from Maryland, who swears he loves lacrosse, had no idea the National Lacrosse League existed. If that is inexplicable how poorly the NLL does things in the United States. And you can hide behind ESPN Plus until you're blue in the face. It's not going to happen. We're not growing a dang thing here. I don't care how many unboxed teams are announced today. It's not sustainable. I don't care if you swear to social media you're putting sticks in kids' hands. I don't see it. No one sees it down here. So actions speak louder. They speak louder than social media stunts. And that, to me, Albany to Oshawa really set me on fire. And hopefully nothing like that happens again. But we're going to have to go through a Philadelphia fiasco next season. Let's do this now. Top 10 players in the National Lacrosse League. Now, before I get to my list, I want to make this very clear. I did not have goalies. These were my top 10 runners. And run in. Let's do it. My number 10 player in the National Lacrosse League is going to be Joe Resetarit's Philadelphia Wings. He had 41 goals last season, 80 assists, and 66 loose balls. And in my opinion, Resetarit, I feel like I could have put Mitch Jones or Curtis Dixon in this spot, but I went with the guy who had the less turnovers and the guy who was still shooting at a good clip. And again, 41 goals. When you hit the 40 and up mark, it's kind of hard to leave you out of the top 10, even though guys like, I think for the record, Chris Boucher, like players who scored 40 that are not on my top 10, Chris Boucher, Josh Dowick, Keegan Ball's not on my list either, and neither is Curtis Dixon. I don't think, okay, there's more than I thought, but whatever. 41 goals also helped Joe Rez out, okay? Number 9 runner in the NLL for me, Ian McKay. Now, Ian McKay does get the finals MVP nod. Ian McKay also gets the nod of how much better will he be even this season. Ian McKay last year in the regular season, 37 goals, 17 assists, 94 loose balls, 12 caused turnovers. He was a Swiss Army knife for Buffalo, kind of like a poor man's Zach Currier. But we'll see how he scored more than Zach Currier, to be fair. But I'm interested to see the leap that Ian McKay takes this season, knowing what we know about Buffalo now. Number 8 for me is going to be Lyle Thompson of the Georgia Swarm. Lyle Thompson, 42 goals last year. I do not like that Lyle had 51 assists and 58 turnovers. I don't like that at all. I actually took Curtis Dixon off the list because of similar assist numbers. But I do like 112 loose balls. I also love 11 caused turnovers. And again, I know 11 is not like a huge number, but I think that Lyle Thompson is a good enough of a two-way player that I can justify having him at this number 8 spot. But again, the time in the league for him is also coming. I know, again, a guy who scored 42 goals last year, he's just not as dominant as he used to be. But I do think he's still a top 10 player. Number 7 for me, Jake Withers. Talk about a guy who might do more than Zach Currier. And again, I'm putting that lightly. But Jake Withers, again, only had 5 goals, 16 assists, but 227 loose balls. You're like, well, a lot of that is faceoffs. That might be true. But Jake Withers, not only was he picking it up off the faceoff, he also stays a lot on defense. And that is why he had 21 caused turnovers and 16 blocked shots, along with the 299 faceoff wins. So those defensive numbers are more important to me than loose balls that, again, might be inflated probably from his faceoff wins. But this guy is still electric. Number 6 for me, this guy, so close, and I mean so close to my top 5. You will see my top 5 and why I ultimately left Zach Currier off. But Zach Currier last season alone had 18 goals, 29 assists, 193 loose balls. He took no faceoffs, by the way. 5. 32 caused turnovers and 11 blocked shots. Zach Currier does everything for the team that he's on, and I mean everything. Can you imagine if Zach Currier was allowed to play offense? I mean, unbelievable. There's my 10 through 6, and now my top 5 runners in the NLL. There it is. Again, I think you can make an argument for Zach Currier over Wesley Berg. Wesley Berg, though, the clutch factor was a big one for me. He had 49 goals, and he also had 82 loose balls. Now, my problem with Zach Currier, with Wesley Berg, was only 39 assists because he also had 44 turnovers. And if I'm being fair, if I'm going to criticize Jeff T in the past for that, if you're going to have not many assists, you better not have many turnovers. And unfortunately, when they outweigh each other, that's why Zach Currier above Wesley Berg could be an argument that I can have. And who knows, in 2 days, I might feel Zach Currier's a top 5 player. I went to Wesley Berg because in a year where I thought Wesley Berg would have less than 40 goals, he almost had 50. So that's the Wesley Berg effect. Number 4 for me, a guy who I've said from day one on this show, I did not feel was the best player. He's still top 5, Jeff Teat. Jeff Teat had 56 goals last year. He also had 107 loose balls. And again, 56 assists with 79 turnovers. That's not good. Again, if Jeff Teat's going to have a down year in terms of assists, you can't have that many turnovers. And again, I know he scored 56 goals and had the 100 loose balls. That's why he's at number 4. But Jeff Teat, you got to be more physical, man. I know I don't play the game. I'm telling you what I see, though. If you are going to take any advice from me, you got to toughen up because he is so talented with the stick skills. Sometimes the NLL can push him around. And those numbers, the facts that I'm reading you, 79 turnovers is 23 more than his assists. That's a not good look. Again, his turnovers have been going down, but it's almost like he stopped passing the ball as much. I don't get it. So Jeff T, come on, man. You got to toughen up. Still a top 5 player. I don't know what toughen up actually means. Number 3, Josh Byrne. I do think Josh Byrne could make an argument for number 1 if he was off of Dane Smith's team. We'll never know. We will never know. Josh Byrne had 44 goals and 90 assists. More goals than Dane and the second most assists in the league. That's nuts. He also only had 61 turnovers. Again, I know Jeff T does not have a Dane Smith. That's the card you're dealt, bro. I do think that context matters, but Josh Byrne does enough for me to push him over Jeff T. I would love to see Josh Byrne with his own team. I also don't mind the dynamic duo between him and Dane Smith. It is what it is. It's like pick your poison. Josh, obviously in Buffalo, is a great thing. I think his aura helps me out a little bit. I'm kidding, but he is a good-looking dude. That's where it's so hard to leave Josh Byrne off of Fresh Fits, man. Whew. Getting sweaty here just think. I'm kidding. It's still a lot. I'll be honest, folks. This on top 2 spots. I was finalizing this list about 10 minutes before the show started. And I would be lying to you if it did not scratch my brain to put Connor Fields at number 1. And it's not just a feeling. Let's look at these numbers, okay? Connor Fields, last season, 46 goals. Dane Smith had 32. And I thought last year Dane Smith's shot would start falling. He's still on a shooting slump. I know, 32 goals. But to me, Dane Smith, the last 2 regular seasons, has not shot the ball like I think Dane Smith can. Connor Fields only had 57 turnovers. Dane Smith had 72. But Dane had 102 assists, which is 25 more than Connor's 77 dimes. Now, Connor did have more loose balls, but I think 148 to 116 is kind of like nothing. And I think Dane Smith is still the better 2-way player. But folks, I'm going to be honest. I've always thought Connor Fields was a really awesome player. Seeing him last year, for the first time last year, I thought Connor Fields really opened up his defensive 2-way game. And I've said for at least a year on this show, I think the future NLL athlete is a 2-way player who's a menace on offense and on defense can play and be really good on defense. Not all the time, but I think that's the best players in the NLL. And again, scoring 46 goals and then getting back there and, back checking or whatever when you try to swipe the ball from the offensive player. The trail check, I think is what it's called. I'm sorry about that. But it's like, hey, again, Dane played more shifts on defense, but Connor definitely started to open that bag up. But Dane still takes the number 1 spot. It also helps he's a 3-time in a row champion. But I think this year Connor Fields will threaten for that number 1 spot. And there's a good chance he wins MVP, even though I have not told you guys my predictions on that yet. It's not what I wanted to do. I was clicking. Okay, that was dumb. Hello, welcome back. So that let me know on social media what you thought about my list. Again, Dilly Dive LAX. But again, that was my top list. And when we come back, folks, you're going to want to stick around for this because we're going to talk about league parity. So let's take one more commercial break. And why did the Buffalo Bandits potentially tighten up that wallet? Let's talk about it. We'll be right back. Daily Dive, don't go anywhere. We'll wrap it up next.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Welcome back to Daily Dive. I am your host, Michael Karvelis. You have been watching the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet, featuring NLL-based content like news, discussions, and interviews. Tomorrow, I believe we have 2 guests, but I will not. I did that a lot in previous years, and sometimes the guest ended up calling out last second or something came up. That sounds more appropriate. But yeah, that's where we're supposed to have at least 1 or 2 guests on tomorrow. We will let you know on social media as those become available. And do remember, on North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel, you can see topics and segments I'm uploading in addition to our live shows. That's something I'm trying to do more this year. So thank you for you tuning in for that. Alrighty, folks. Here's the thing. Have you noticed, I want to give full credit to OttCapLax on Twitter /X. He has a greenish logo. He does a lot of Ottawa lacrosse stuff. I believe they're doing some big event right now, actually. But I wanted to make mention of this because I feel like it justifies what he was saying. All right. So we all saw, after the CBA happened, a lot of roster moves. But when Buffalo unloaded Chase Fraser and Chris Kluche, might have been someone else too, it was like, oh, wow. And then I did some asking around. And, this is, obviously the CBA is now common knowledge because your boy posted it on social media. But let's talk about the luxury tax. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know what's the ins and outs of contracts and CBAs and whatever. I am going to do this, though. Tell you what happened, all right? So this season, there is a luxury tax for the first time, all right? And according to the CBA, for clubs which are not compliant with any of the limits upon the conclusion of the 2025-2026 season, the following penalties shall be assessed. A, tax of 50% of all overages related to the salary cap ceiling. B, tax of 25% of all overages relative to the community engagement total. Tax of 25% of all overages related to the club bonus maximum. What? You're telling me? Yeah, Buffalo had to unload the roster. Yep. And we're going to get to the Vancouver side of things, don't you worry. But what is the salary cap? What is salary cap stuff going on here? Clubs shall have until the 2026-27 roster cut-down date to become compliant with the salary cap ceiling, which I was begging for, which is $100,000 community engagement total and a club bonus maximum. Folks, this is great. This is wonderful. Shout out to the PA and the Board of Governors, whoever was involved in making the decision. I don't call it the NLL. It's whatever it is. Oh, I'm excited. I've said, and again, I know it was great to see the Buffalo Bandits three-peat. I said it last year before we knew what the CBI would be. I told you guys 20, 30 years from now, we're going to look back and you were going to do with the Buffalo Bandits roster. It's going to be a sitcom of laughter. Yep. It's going to be like watching Seinfeld or Big Bang Theory or whatever the new comedy on TV is that you enjoy with laugh tracks. We're going to laugh because as great as it was to enjoy in real time, it still resembles the 60s, 70s, and 80s NBA. All right? A lot of what the heck. And I'm not saying they didn't have a salary cap. I'm just saying it's just no one was beating the Celtics, man. I don't care how goddamn good Wilt Chamberlain was. No one was beating the Boston Celtics. Same thing with Buffalo. Unfortunately, that's not where this conversation ends. Because we have to do this now. Vancouver, is this the only year you're going to win a championship? Because, and I do, this is a very interesting conversation to have. And I think it's one that fans deserve to hear. All right? Even if you're watching this live or watch it later. There is no way in a flaming fiery furnace in hell Vancouver does not win a championship this year. I have not made my prediction yet. I'm telling you on paper, that's what it looks like. I know that Matt Vince came back. I raise you Christian Del Bianco. I know the Bandits still have Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. I raise you Curtis Dixon, Jesse King, Keegan Ball, Marcus Clarich. If Peyton Cormier steps up, Owen Grant, like what are we doing here? Shane Simpson, really? It will be a failure if Vancouver does not win a championship this season. And that's, of course, if the majority of those horses stay healthy. There's no way they don't win a championship this year. I'm not going to accuse anybody. I don't know. I will say, I'm referencing under the table benefits here. I will say this though. Despite Vancouver having what seems to be a roster that should be over the limits a year from now in terms of salary cap, I think Curtis Dixon making, 60 or 70,000 USD against 120, it doesn't matter to him. It might. I'm just saying, like, a good player who's on the back nine of his career, respectfully, not taking shots, just saying it's true. If you have a guy like that, and for years he has made about 50 grand or more, I don't think telling him he'll make 100 grand 1 year to stay on a team is going to move the needle. I do find it very peculiar that Vancouver not just added a bunch of people, but kept the same dang stars they had before. That is mind-boggling to me. Again, I am very skeptical if that roster is affordable next year. But for this year, I'm going to give you free money. Again, I have not made my predictions. If you compare the Vancouver Warriors roster to any roster in the league, they're better. And I will raise you Buffalo into the same. It does not mean Buffalo cannot win again. What it does mean is Vancouver is running it back and added Curtis Dixon, Jesse King, and Shane Simpson. Do you realize what you have to think about to wrap your head around what they did? All right? That matters. This might be the last year we won't see parity. Now, I do think there will be more even playing fields, and unified standings has helped with that. But I 1,000% believe starting next year, we're going to have some fun with the rosters, man. There's going to be a lot of good players on a lot of good teams, and I am going to be so happy. So, that's what we're up against. The luxury tax and next year's salary cap, it's going to be a movie. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Daily Dive. Reminder to follow us on social media at Daily Dive LAX. Be sure to subscribe to North American Talk Radio's YouTube channel for more great shows and sports, and just to get more Daily Dive in the future. I am Michael Karvelis saying I hope you enjoyed today's show. Stay tuned again to our social media to see the guests for tomorrow. If we do have two, that'd be great. And we'll see you tomorrow, like I said. The topic that is scheduled for tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. But of course, there's more to talk about than that. You guys have a great rest of your day, of your hump day, and stay safe. This has been Daily Dive. Be sure to go to natalkradio.com. Bye.